Hello everyone, this is Sonnet. As always, I hope you guys are doing well, staying safe and healthy out there. I know I had mentioned that I would be uploading a video for you soon, and I really tried, you guys, but what happened was I came down with a really dry cough, and it was impossible to talk without coughing every other second. Texas weather is all over the place, and it'll be hot one day, and then the next day it'll be really cold. And so it actually got really cold one evening down in the lower 30s. And for us, that is really cold. We're not used to it. So I slept with the AC going and the fan going, and that didn't help the situation. So I woke up with inflammation in the throat that developed into this dry, stubborn cough that just won't go away. But it's getting a lot better, and I thought, I have to get this out to you right now. So please bear with me if you hear me clearing my throat a lot, or if you hear me breathing a little heavier than usual, or if you hear me pause the video. Hopefully not, but I am having some hot tea right now. So anyway, I want to talk about the twin flame merging process today. This is actually my favorite topic when it comes to twin flames, because this is who we are, and it's what we're doing, and this is what it is all about. So if you learn anything on twin flames, you want to learn this, because this is the foundation. This is the mechanics of the connection itself, you would say. And once you have a clear understanding and a clear perspective of the merging process, you will definitely have a better understanding of who you yourself are and how you and your twin are connecting and healing one another. And then also, why do you feel and experience the things that you do? Where does this telepathy come from, and why does it happen? Why do you have the dreams, the synchronicities, all of these other occurrences? So as you can see, this is a pretty long video, and that's because there's a lot that goes into it. So feel free to start it up, finish it up at a later time. Feel free to share the video as well. And if you feel that this is too slow, feel free to change the playback speed on the video settings as well. And I say that because I find that when I am in spirit, I tend to really slow down, and that's because, there's channeling and there's information coming in from all directions. And so the input is a lot faster than the output, and, the human bandwidth sometimes lags, so bear with me. And actually, too, you guys, I think this is going to be part 1. I think I'm going to have a part 2 to this video. But yeah, it's so funny because I've heard from several people, several twins who have mentioned to me that they've heard others out there teach or mention that the twin flame connection has nothing to do with chakras or nothing to do with merging. And with all due respect to the people teaching this, this is not true. It's false. It's complete rubbish. And I say this very confidently because, if anything, the twin flame connection has everything to do with the emergence of energy. Especially when you have a connection that is energetic first, naturally you're going to have the entanglement of certain energies. Chakras are a major part of who we are in the physical. And so, naturally you will have that gravitational pull, you would say, towards each other. So there is definitely a lot of merging and entangling of energies. And it really does take someone with an experiential background to really understand the connection itself and to really know it when it's talked about. Because knowledge without experience is just philosophy. So it really does take one being on a twin flame journey, having the actual connection to really know what it is about. But we first have to understand that everything is energy, right? We have to think of things in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So, you know, you and I are sparks of energy. And so we came into being because that spark became conscious and then formed layers of intelligent aspects or bodies. And on this channel, you guys, I've always taught that there are two versions of ourselves existing at the same time. So we have our consciousness, our spirit or soul, the higher self. And then as physical beings, we have our subtle bodies, the ego, the emotional, mental, everything that makes us human, including chakras. And then we have an energetic cord that connects us back to the consciousness or our higher selves. So as you can see, as above, so below. So to put it in simplest terms, who we are on a soul level is always seen in our physical self because we are connecting to our own energies, our own essence. So when it comes to twins, and this is what makes us quite rare, is that we are two wholes or two pieces of the same spark. We are quantumly entangled. And so, not sure if you guys have heard of this before, but it's like in physics, right? When two particles have interacted so much in close proximity, or when they are entangled, they begin to behave the same. Their movement, the momentum, their speed, the way they spin, all of that is the same. And so if they are separated in space and time, they still continue to behave the same. So what happens to one particle happens to the other one at the same time, no matter how far apart they are separated or how long apart they've been. And, twins are like little photons of light with extreme magnetism. They have that connectedness with one another. They affect one another at all times. So this means that if twins are the same energetic expression occupying two physical bodies, then that means that the energy connected and entangled will behave alike, and as above, so below. So in these bodies, you guys, we have chakras, and call it what you may, woo-woo or whatever, because, there are a lot of people out there that as soon as they hear the word chakras, they completely disregard the conversation, throw it out the window, and just completely zone out. But, it's a very real thing. Chakras are like storage units where we store energies associated with experiences, feelings, emotions, traumas, karmas, memory from past lives or this current life. Some are good, some are bad. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the soul of the twins begins to draw into itself due to the magnetism. And so this is how twins encounter one another for the first time and then keep re-encountering, even if it's years later. Or even if they live across the world from each other, or if they were at the same place at the same time when they first met, there is definitely something more at play here than just coincidence. It's more than that. It's destiny. It's that, like I said, that gravitational pull, you would say, or the magnetic pull. And this is why, too, the recognition and the familiarity is so powerful and instant, is because the energy knows itself, right? And is drawing the two together. So because the energy of the twins in its raw state is too pure and too intense, it begins to purify the physical and push out all that isn't familiar to it, everything that is out of balance. And so the catalytic behavior begins, and so does the healing for both twins, not just one, but both. The force is too powerful, and so the twins, without knowing, begin to mirror things to each other, and the Kundalini energy kicks on and then begins to purify the chakras, the physical. And there may be some running and chasing here, and that's because the ego goes into a bit of shock for a little bit. But this is where the physical merge begins to happen. As karma and things begin to fall off and heal in both twins, that new space within them is then merged and put back together again as one. And like two entangled particles, when one twin heals, the other one has to heal as well. There's no way around that. And there's no getting out of it. So both twins have to heal. And as we heal things, whether it's fear in the root, abuse in the sacral, inferiority in the solar, unforgiveness in the heart, and so on, whatever that is for you, whatever you're going through, whatever you're healing, that energy begins to put itself back in its original state of consciousness a bit at a time. So in actuality, you guys, this twin flame reunion that you are having is the healing that is taking place in the body and reuniting your energy together as one. And so by the time you know it, the twins have healed so much of themselves that they become one, essentially. That merged space becomes an expression of who they really are, and a new personality arises. And so everything has to happen energetically first, right? And then it becomes an expression in the physical, and the energy keeps drawing you both together. And it's only a matter of time. And then this is where it gets even more interesting, because as parts of you are merging with your twin, you start to notice these parts of you change a bit. Some are noticeable and, some are not. Some reflect more of you, some reflect more of them. But one thing that always happens first 100% of the time is a heart and sacral activation when the twins meet. This is the first thing that begins to clear out and heal, is the heart and sacral. I believe I had another video about this too, about how for twins, these two chakras are always connected. It acts as like a gateway, a portal between the twins, and that gateway, that portal is always open. So that's what that is. And so you may notice an extreme sense of love as this heart center is opening up, as it is activating and then merging with your twin. And so you may experience an abundant sense of love, not just romantic, but a love and, grace for all things. You may find yourself crying for no reason. And, that happened to me, you guys, where, when I had this activation, I just would feel this intense sense of love for all things. I felt that oneness that connected me to everything. And I also felt the love for my twin that was just unconditional, and it was very deep, and it just kept reaching higher levels. And I thought, oh my goodness, what is all this love that I'm feeling? Like, I can't possibly feel anymore. And to my own surprise, I kept feeling and feeling and feeling more and more. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm just going to explode, because this is just too much. But it kept growing and growing. And so there's definitely more love out there than our bodies are able to, contain. And so you will feel a lot of that. And this heart communication, or this heart merge, it always fascinates me, because what I really appreciate about it is that you begin to exchange messages in form of feelings. And so it has its ups and downs, because you will start to have that intuition. You will start to gain that insight into your twin's life. and start to feel what they're going through in their own lives. And this is why I always recommend twins, especially newly awakened twins, is to start to pick up some sort of meditative practice that brings you and tunes you into your own energy. Because once you tune into your own energy, you begin to connect to your own higher self, which is then connecting you to your twin's higher self and your twin's energy. And so you will begin to get insight into your twin's life. Granted, you're not going to know everything, but you will start to receive glimpses of what your twin may be feeling and what they may be going through. One of the questions that I get a lot is, on email or in sessions is, well, what is my twin going through? What are they feeling? But, the thing is, you guys, if you go into, some meditative state where you tune into yourself, you will definitely know what they're going through. And it happens, and what's really interesting is that the better you get at it, the more you pick up on things. And like I said, there are two versions of who we are existing at the same time. So you will have the ability to connect to your twin's higher self, but then also their 3D self, which are the same, right? But, you have that version of your twin who is, the soul. And then you have the 3D version, which is a mind. So I'll give you an example. In my experience, when I was going through this journey and I began to tune in, I would connect to my twin's higher self, and I would hear him say, I'm so sorry about this. I'm sorry you're going through this. This is something that we have to go through as part of the journey. I'm always with you. I love you. And then I would tune into the 3D self that would say, forget this. I can't do this. This isn't right. It's bad timing. I'm afraid I can't do this anymore. And so as you can see, you will have that insight, that dual insight to, those two aspects of your twin, which is really interesting and very reassuring, especially when you're going through the separation and the running and chasing. Something else that will happen too is that you will start feeling each other's feelings. So this is where it does get a bit delicate, because you don't know, there are moments where you just don't know who is who. So just to give you an example, if your twin is going through a really hard time and they're going through, one of those dark nights of the soul, and as you guys know, the dark night of the soul is not just a one-time occurrence. It happens multiple times depending on your own personal journey and where you're at. It can happen a few times a year. But it's not just a one-time thing. But if your twin is going through one of those periods and they are purging, or they're overly thinking about things and it's past midnight, guess what's going to happen? They're going to keep you awake. And it happens all the time. Or if you are asleep, that may wake you up from your sleep, and you may wake up with heart palpitations. You may wake up crying. You may wake up, afraid. You may wake up feeling like you had a nightmare. So, or even sweating. These are effects. This is what happens in a connection when there is turbulence in the connection itself, and vice versa. If you yourself find that you are, in the sorrow and you are maybe going through some depression, or you're purging or something like that, guess what? Your twin, you can also keep your twin awake at night. Or you may, you know, transfer some of that same anxiety over to them throughout the day. So that does happen, but it does have its positives too, because let's say that you yourself are going through a really hard time, right? And your twin is on the other end. Your twin is doing something that they really love, and they are engaging in something creative that, raises their vibration. That energy can literally pull you out of a depression, and vice versa. If you yourself are holding a high vibrational state, you're doing something that you really love, you can literally pull your twin out of a depression as well. So there's a lot of advantages to this, you guys. And then, there's so much more to this. There's also the telepathy that happens. Oh, by the way, this is actually real time. So this is real time telepathy. Again, it's exchanging messages in form of feeling. So even when you talk to your twin in your heart, they may not hear what you're saying with their ears, but they get that download in form of a feeling, in form of something that sparks their consciousness. So I'll give you an example, and this is something that happened to me way before I knew what a twin flame was. Had no idea I was on this twin flame journey. But I remember looking at my twin's pictures and talking to him in my heart, saying, oh, you would look so good in black. And then next time we would meet up, he would start wearing black. Or if I would say, you would look so nice in green, then he would wear green all the time. And then that's when I noticed that, wait a minute, there is something going on. There is, we are somehow connecting or intertwining our consciousness. It's just so weird. So I would play around with it. And then I remember one day, you guys, we were texting back and forth, planning to go for a movie. And again, this was way before I knew that I was a twin. And I remember, texting my twin, and all of a sudden, I was sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden, I just felt these feelings that I knew were not mine. And they were so overwhelming. And it literally made me jump off of my seat. And I remember I ran towards the window, and I was pointing out there saying, this is not me. This is him. This is him. I just know it. I felt it intuitively, very strongly. And I knew that somehow we were communicating telepathically like this. So it happens. It happens. That's just part of it. And then, sometimes you may feel angry, you may feel sad, you may feel happy for no reason. And a lot of that is coming from your twin. Sometimes you may even be missing them so much, and you may even be having the urge to call them. And for all you know, that is their own desire, hoping that you would call them, or hoping that you would send a message. And this is how it works. You guys are pulling on each other. So, and I have so many other stories about how we exchanged messages telepathically at the same time, which I would probably mention on a different video, but it's there. I'm sure you guys have had some of these same experiences. And then we go to the sacral. Oh my goodness, you guys, when the sacral area is clearing, healing, and then merging with twins, it is so intense, because you will have such a strong sexual attraction for them. The physical attraction is just so intense. You will find any little piece of them attractive. The fingers, the cheeks, the eyebrows, the hair, the chin. I mean, literally any little part. You may also feel an overwhelming sense of intimate confidence that you may have never felt with anyone else. You might find that maybe you had been asexual all your life, and then as soon as you meet your twin, you start feeling this sexuality that arises also suddenly. And it's just so deep. So and it's really, really strong. You may also find that you also feel when your twin is feeling sexual, when they are aroused. You may also start to experience a lot of etheric passion, etheric sex that is always connected to the heart. So it's not just humanistic, it's very divine, very heavenly. Even across the way, you will still feel your twin, the sensation of them being there with you. You may also feel tingling in those areas, and the energy just comes rushing in out of nowhere sometimes. You may be at the grocery store, you may be at work, driving home from work, you may be hanging out with friends, and you will start to feel your twin's essence along with an extreme sense of sexuality and passion. And sometimes it gets so strong that you literally have to tell the energy to stop, but sometimes it doesn't stop. Sometimes you just have to surrender and allow it to do what it needs to do. But yeah, the physical attraction is just so intense. And the feeling of intimacy and connectedness that you feel is so strong, you guys, that it literally feels like it takes you back to the very moment of creation, that very moment that you had that first merge with your twin. It takes you back to infinity, and it is just so deep and so grand. And so you feel that sense of selflessness and the sense of confidence with your twin, because we are one, and we essentially feel like we are the same person, like we are one and the same, and so the confidence is there. For some twins, the confidence happens in levels. The comfort happens in levels. So if you are not there yet, you will get there. It's only a matter of time. But mostly, for most twins, that feeling of comfort and the confidence and the feeling of oneness is always there. But these sexual feelings, you guys, at least the physical attraction, sometimes does last a really long time. I mean, it can last months, and it can last a few years. And sometimes it is so intense, you feel like, what is going on with me? Why am I more sexual than average, or more sexual than I have felt all my life? And that's because that sacral space is clearing out. You are letting go of experiences that you have had and that have pertained to other people you've been with in previous lifetimes or in this lifetime, and you are renewing that space. And so you are creating that newness for one another in the now. So, and that's why you feel so much divine sexuality come about. And this is another reason, you guys, why so many twins do not date after meeting the twin, is because, that is more karma to be resolved and cleared. And so sometimes the higher self will intentionally guide you to stay single to hold that space for yourself and your twin. So this is all part of it. But yes, it does lessen, once we learn what true unconditional love is. A lot of the physicalness begins to feel more neutral. And so a lot of twins sometimes say, well, where did it all go? Am I not attracted to my twin anymore? But no, it's always there. If anything, once the physical attraction sort of deflates, we begin to really feel the love a lot more, so that's what it is. But yeah, that is the first thing that begins to merge, is the heart and the sacral. And usually, but not always, sometimes the merge begins more strongly in the lower chakras. So you will start to feel things come up, like the fear of losing them, fear of failure, the abandonment issues. And this is one of those things, you guys, that is so hard to resolve. This is something that the Divine Feminine Collective has been working so hard to heal, is the abandonment issues. The feeling of being left behind and forgotten, or the feeling of being less than. So for those of you that have been healing abandonment, you guys know what it feels like if your twin doesn't answer you in an hour or in some time. We start to think, or maybe they take a whole day to answer, or a few days. We start to think that maybe it is us. Maybe they're no longer interested. There has to be something wrong. Maybe they have someone else. Maybe they just don't want this anymore. And none of that is true. None of it is true. This connection is so intelligent. It is divinely orchestrated and contracted, that the deeper the fear, the deeper the issue is rooted, the more we will be pushed to resolve it. So if we have an abandonment issue that hasn't been resolved, we don't like to be ignored, the more the twin is going to do it, right? The longer they will take to respond, and the longer they will go without communicating. So that does happen. And it's really tough. For me, it took me a good couple years to finally resolve the abandonment. So I feel y'all. I know what that's like. So other things that may come up are abuse. So you may have a lot of memories from childhood, even memories from past lives. You may even start spontaneously crying for no reason, or not knowing why you're crying. And it's that energetic tie that you have connected still at the cellular level, and it's leaving you. So the spontaneous crying is a big one. You may chase or run, and that is all due to all of the old coming out. It is part of the transformative process. So as a Kundalini, and if you guys don't know about Kundalini, I strongly encourage you to look into it, to learn about it, because that is exactly what is happening. But as the Kundalini and the merge begins to move through the meridians and the Ida and the Pingala, as it moves through our body, the left and right sides of the brain hemispheres, the masculine and feminine, you will start to feel different. Your dreams will change. Your senses will become more sensitized, more sensitive. Your abilities and clairs may activate. This is something that happened to me too. I have talked about this before, is that when I had this activation with my twin, I started to see colors differently. Red was redder, green was greener, yellow was brighter. I mean, that happened, and my clairs also became activated as well. I became more intuitive, more empathic. I started to perceive things differently. I pierced through the matrix veil and I started to see existence multidimensionally. And so, yeah, it just became more intuitive, more psychic, more claircognizant. Or clairsentient. I just knew things. And this is something that happens when you have that activation. And so for some of us, it happens all at the same time. For others, it happens in layers, a level at a time. Something else that happens, you guys, when you merge is that, the even skills that both of you have will just blend together. One of the things that happened to me is that I picked up on a lot of what my twin liked. And I picked up on some of his skills too. I mean, I didn't know how to draw. I could only draw maybe like a stick figure. And then all of a sudden I was, sketching people's faces and creating this amazing art. And it was just like that, night and day thing. And I picked up a lot of his skill. And it was vice versa, right? I'm sure he picked up a lot of what I like as well. But that will happen. There are twins that maybe one of them didn't know how to sing and the other one did, and now all of a sudden both of them are singing together. So that's really what happens, and I get twins that tell me, well, now we're both writing, we're both painting, we're both working on this project, and we're so in love with it. And it's like, well, yeah, because you're merging that consciousness together. It's that blending of the consciousness and the energy, and there's a lot of desire and creativity that comes about, the emergence of these two energies. So you become a very, very strong duo. But what's really fascinating, you guys, is the changes that come about physically. You may start to walk like your twin. You will start to stand like your twin. You may start looking like one another. The way you laugh, the way you smile, the way you move your eyes, down to the smallest thing, like the way you hold a fork when you eat, the way you hold a cup when you drink. You may become more strict in your routine or more lenient with things. You may also start to think about the same things at the same time, reading each other's thoughts, feeling when the other is in danger or scared or happy, and vice versa. Your physicality will or can change. I have seen twins who have had their eye color change slightly. I've heard twins who have told me that, even their natural hair color changes. There are twins that literally begin to feel like it's their twin in them. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. One of the sensations that I myself had was when I was walking, it almost felt like I was in his body. In other words, or when I would drive in my car, I felt like it was him holding the wheel. It is just the strangest thing, you guys. It is so strange, but it does happen. It really does. Sometimes even smelling like one another, or being in the room and feeling like your twin is there with you, feeling their essence in the same room. Waking up in the morning and feeling like you've been spending all dream time together. Just things like that, and when it comes down to the physicality aspect of it, we begin to manifest what we like in each other. What you desire is exactly what your twin becomes. or transforms into. Whatever you like is what your twin becomes, and vice versa. And a lot of twins have a problem with that because, you know, some of them are like, oh man, I can't lose weight and I've tried everything. Or I'm losing too much weight. Or, oh my goodness, you know, like my chest has become smaller or bigger and I just don't understand why. And it's your twin manifesting that in you. You know, it happens. You know, it does happen. I've seen it, you guys. My twin looks so different from when I first met him. And that's because, you know, it's the desire that is manifesting everything. So you definitely do have that connection. And I'm going to be making a part 2 about this too, because there's just so much more. I mean, there's just so much more. But you know, you guys, some of the things that I've heard is that, you know, people do say, well, once you spend time with someone else for so long, you start behaving like them. Or maybe you just start behaving like each other because you're dating, or you're together, or you're friends, or you hang out all the time. But something important to mention here is that soulmates sometimes do pick up on each other's feelings, or, you know, they begin to behave the same in some ways. But that is because soulmates also merge to an extent, right? They merge some subtle bodies, making them alike in behavior, but never physically. You know, twins merge beyond that, affecting deeper layers and levels of who they are, to the extent of essentially becoming that one essence of who they are in the physical. And this is something that only happens within a true twin flame connection. You know, the experiences that you have will be extremely telling of something otherworldly, you know, interdimensional experiences that are beyond what you can see and touch. They are beyond space and time. And again, you know, some people say, well, if you study a person for so long, or if you look at them for so long, you may start acting like them. And I say, yeah, you know, true. But for twins, it is something that happens even when the twins are apart and don't see each other, that they inherit the energetic traits of their essence. And again, that is something that you have to experience to understand. Now, twins begin to merge right after both are born on Earth. And what I mean by that is that, let's just say your twin is 20 years older than you, or 5, 10, 15, 20 years older than you. And then as soon as the youngest twin is born, the energy begins to entangle. You know, it begins to entangle in subtle ways. And so even if you don't meet until you are in your late 20s or 30s or 40s, at whatever time, by the time you do meet, you will have some similar tendencies, you know, some essence or soul characteristics alike. And this is too another reason why when you meet, the familiarity is so strong. It's because the energy that has been merging is felt. And so you see the energy that resides in you residing in them. It's like looking at yourself, talking to yourself, experiencing yourself. And then, you guys, when you step into your twins' world, everything, I mean, their friends, their families, it always feels a bit familiar, is because parts of you have been experiencing life through their senses, and vice versa. Now, there's always one twin who is more awake, right, at the beginning than the other one. So even if they don't know what this is, the sense, that the knowing, the sense of being one and the same is always there. Whether they like to admit it or not, now that's a different story. But it is always there for sure. And sometimes you have that couple, or that married couple that says, I love them, they're my husband or wife, but we are so different. We are so different, like, you know um and that's okay. I mean, it happens. And that's not to say that twins are not different, or that's not to say that twins are exactly the same. But when it comes to the frequency, the energy, the vibration, they are one and the same. And that is something that you won't have with a soulmate. You may have, maybe the vibration is the same, but not the frequency. Maybe the energy is the same, but not the vibration. So, there's a huge difference. And look, this doesn't mean that a twin flame relationship is better than a soulmate. They're both equally beautiful. So no matter what you have, enjoy it for what it is, and have fun with it, and love with everything that you have. Like I said, it just because, you're in a soulmate relationship doesn't make it better than a twin flame, or a twin flame is not better than a soulmate. They are both equally beautiful. They are both equally worth it. They're just so different, and sometimes, you guys, I connect with twins or with people, and I can always tell the difference between a true twin flame and someone who is a soulmate. And I mean, there's just so many ways of knowing other than the energy. But when I connect with a twin flame person, I could never get them to stop talking. They just go on and on and on and on about what they feel, what they sense, the experiences. And someone who is a soulmate, they talk about how much they love and care for the person, how deep their connection is, but they don't go into the physical, energetic experiences that a twin flame has. And again, it doesn't make it better or less, it's just different. Even if you are a twin flame and you happen to be with a karmic at the moment, and that's just where you are on your timeline, do not beat yourselves up about it. It's okay. I mean, we all have our own journey. There is no right or wrong, and this is something that always comes through in these QHHT sessions, or hypnosis sessions, or past life regressions. When we connect to the higher self, this is something that Spirit always says, or the higher self always says, is, enjoy what you have and where you're at, and allow the universe to bring you there. There's no right or wrong. It is what it is. Destiny, no matter how hard you work at it or how much of it you let go, destiny will always catch up to itself, you guys. It always will. But yeah, so, I do want to make another video talking about how the merge also starts when we are, born, and even as children, we start to feel subtle things in so many ways. When I was a child, I felt like I was connected to someone. I always knew it. I had dreams of connecting to this boy, this person, this energy. And as I got older, into my teenage years, when the ego was developing and the ego was activating, the dreams started to get more intense, and I started to actually feel my twin's energy a lot more. What's really interesting is that I would never see his face. I never saw it. But a week before meeting my twin, I had a dream of someone riding a bike, and I've shared this story. and I had a dream of him, and I actually saw his face. And that energy was the exact energy that had been visiting me in dream time, in my dreams. And so a week after I had that dream of this person, I meet him in person, or in the physical, in real life. And I just couldn't believe it, because I realized that, hey, that dream is you. And it just blew me away, you guys, because sometimes we hear such crazy stories and they are so real, you know? So yeah, I actually have been meeting with my twin in dreams before meeting him in real life. So that is just fascinating. And you know, we all have our own story, and we all have our own journey and our own experiences, but you know, this merge, however it plays out for you and however you experience it, a lot of these things that I have just talked about will resonate with you, because this is hands down typical behavior, typical things that happen on a true twin flame journey. And so you have to really be in it to know, you know, to know what this is. And again, this is not just one-sided. Twins, whether they are awake or not, whether they know that they are twins or not, they will always feel like they are a mirror of one another. They will always feel like they are one and the same. So, you know, yeah. So anyway, that's all I have for today, you guys. And part 2 will be out pretty soon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you would like a session, feel free to send an email to sonnet1117@gmail.com. That is the only way you can get a hold of me. Sessions have changed a lot, you guys. They are also confidential, so just want to let you guys know that. If you want to send an email, feel free to do so. I'm actually going to devote Saturdays to answer emails. You know, I really want to do that. So if you want to reach out on email, you can. And yeah, I'm here if you need me. And that's all for now, you guys. Stay safe, and I love y'all. Until next time, bye, everybody.